Although things weren't as easy for my family, my dad was able to handle having 8 kids. We all got through the university. We're all, well taken care of. Even after the university, they still take care of us if they need to. They had kids when things were cheaper. My tuition in primary school was $1.
One dollar for how long?
3 months, every 3 months. It's pretty much free.
Why was it so cheap?
It was one of the good schools, but it was in a university campus. My dad was a lecturer there, so I got the privilege of being a lecturer's kid. The normal tuition was times four, that $4. Still wasn't that bad. Compared to now, that same school, I think they pay over $60. My parents could afford it then. It was pretty cheap then.
You know how much university costs in America?
I do have done my research. It's pretty expensive for people there in America, let alone here. There's no easy way to put it. I actually did cancel American universities from my list. I'm not even trying.
It's really hard to imagine the price of different things in different countries. It's incredibly complex. In America, for example, the health insurance, university, all insurance really, medical care, things like that are just crazy. But when it comes to entertainment and things like that, it's relatively cheap compared to Europe, compared to Japan. But Japan, it's switched where the insurance and things like that are definitely cheaper than America. University, I think, is about at least half the price of America. Just everyday household goods in Japan are also much cheaper. Forks and knives and plates and things like that. Because if you lived in one city in America, it's going to be different than another city. When I was in university, I went to concerts basically every day because it was like $5. About $5 is the cost of a meal, probably cheaper than a meal. It could be $5 for entry or $10 for entry, whereas here it'll be sometimes for a local band, $30 for one night out. And that's like on the cheap end where you're trying to save money. So entertainment here is crazy. But everybody does it because they want to have fun. So they're willing to spend the money. Some people I know, they spend most of their money on entertainment.
I think entertainment here is very cheap compared to every other thing you just mentioned. I've had friends who have stayed in the UK and in the US, and they come back home and they're like, yo, Nigeria is pretty good though. I have to give my country some credit. There's almost no amount of entertainment you want somewhere else that you can't have here, and it's so much cheaper. They still have their expensive concerts because if you want to go to a concert with an A-list Nigerian artist, you have to spend the equivalent of $50 to $100.
$100 for a concert in Nigeria
for an A-list artist.
That's still crazy though, because like compared to the average salary, what is that?
If you want to compare it to the average salary, we're talking an A-list artist. But those are for good seats. I think you could get for like $20. That's like maybe the cheapest.
A-list artist here, maybe it's $100-something for regular seats, and then there's crazy seats that like most people don't think about paying for.
Yeah, we could get seats for up to $1,000. But it's for like a table, so maybe that could cover like 3 or 4 people. I've had the experience of living in different parts of Nigeria. I've been lucky enough. Down south, you notice that things are a lot more expensive than up north.
Because it's close to Lagos.
No, I don't think Lagos has anything. Lagos is unnecessarily expensive. I'm not a fan of Lagos. I've been to Lagos just once. It's unnecessarily stressful and expensive. I guess it's considered south as well, apparently, southwest. I'm talking about the major south. We have Port Harcourt, Bayelsa, Delta, a lot more expensive than the middle belt and the north. Housing, I'm talking food, I'm talking entertainment, everything. And what's crazy is they're more expensive, but the middle belt and the north have better amenities. Where I stayed in the middle belt, we had like almost uninterrupted power supply for an entire year, which is a big deal over here. I've been talking to you and they've taken my power like twice. Huh? Since I've been talking to you, they've taken my power like twice. They just took it not long ago.
Oh, so you're using Wi-Fi, you're using data from the...
Yeah. Mobile data.
Okay, so the phone doesn't go up.
Everything else, my lights out.
I'm just surprised you can still use the internet like nothing's wrong when that happens.
Yeah. No, it doesn't affect anything. There's no power. I can't charge my phone.
Power is everything here. Because we live in these cities with like, so if the lights go off here, you can't see me. There's no lights coming in from outside, even during the daytime.
They just brought it back. Just came back.
I think the hard thing to imagine for people in the States, a lot of other countries about Nigeria and probably other places in Africa, is that life is not that different in some situations, in some places, and then the power goes off. And it's like, oh,
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
we
Back
put
to
these things,
reality.
we imagine extremes, right? So we see the nice areas and we imagine, oh, it's really fancy. Or we see the poor areas and we imagine it's really poor. And it's hard to imagine just how these different things intersect.
Yeah.
Oh, no matter where you are, the power can go out if you're,
You could
yeah.
be in like the best areas. Like I've stayed in some of the coolest places and power goes out. Some really nice places. I'm talking federal capital, like expensive as houses and power goes out. Why is it going out? Like this house is too fine for us to go through this.
Yeah,
House
yeah,
is too nice. But it's still Nigeria, you still go through the Nigerian thing. We learn to survive without a lot of things. I mean, why would your internet be connected to your power supply here? No.
here it is. Like I usually connect to like a wall plugged in Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know. I know about them. I know about them. Have had experience. I stayed like a month in the UK, my
Uh,
sister, so I know how it works. It's not like that here. Can't depend on it. Depends on where you are. Yeah, depends on your standard of living. Where
yeah.
you decide to live depends on your standard of living.
People in
You
a lot
could
of countries think I'm fancy for going out all the time. It costs almost the same thing to cook 10%, 20% more. I'd rather just go out.
I have that experience as well. Where I'm currently in Port Harcourt, but my parents live in Bielsa. So in Bielsa, it's like a 2 hours drive. The things are so cheap. But you come to Port Harcourt and you're spending more to go to the same kind of places you go to in Bielsa. I mean, it's the same food. There's no big difference between the food. It's just location and industrialization, so to say. Bielsa is pretty local, but they still have nice shit there.
The income's probably lower there, right?
A lot more. These days, we even pay more for locations than even nice food. I don't know why.
But you mean like just atmosphere?
Yeah, pay for atmosphere, pretty pictures.
I get it to some extent, but there's just like sometimes it's way too ridiculous.
I mean, they make the restaurants look pretty so you can take pretty pictures. They know what they're selling.